Good afternoon, everyone. Hey guys, this is Bruce Marshall from Simpler Trading with the nightly market update for Wednesday. What is today? The 21st, July 21st. Man, time is clicking along. So, if you look at this was, and you know what happened in the last week or two, this was the most boring day we've had in quite a while. We kind of we ended up 37 points up on the ES, which is a very respectable day, but from this point on to here, it was just chopped. There was nothing going on. We had the initial pop up, a couple little head fakes here, and then the little bitty kind of spike up at the end. So um, just a hard way to trade that without selling premium around it, iron condor, credit spread, or something like that. um, I did our main room session today, and I was looking at potentially trying to get something on the downside here because our VWAP, matter of fact, let me show it to you. Where is it? Here. Let me get this to ES, and I'll show what I'm talking about. You see this right here? I was thinking it's a pretty good chance we come back down toward the end of the day. We come back down into that VWAP right there, and I was saying we should maybe set up a butterfly at 43.35 because we got a couple of head fakes, like we were going to come down here, we're going to come down here, we're going to come down here, and it just didn't happen, right? And then instead, we did get a little bit of selling there, back down to this level, and then we just turned around and ripped higher. On the Fibonacci side, I had timing for a high on smaller time frame charts, so I thought pretty decent chance it sold off, but it didn't. I never did do the trade. I was just watching it to see if it might work. But anyway, it's hard to trade a market like this, right? So if we go back to our clean SPX chart, and we go back, if you listen to the video I did last week on Wednesday, I do the videos every Wednesday night. So here's Wednesday night, and we were talking about, another new all-time high, and is this going to continue? And there's a pretty fair possibility it would, but and I said in the video, I said, the thing about it is that we have Netflix earnings was yesterday. Next week we have Tesla, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple. We have all those, and I said I just don't think we're going to get a meaningful flush, and I said if we do, it's going to be something sharp and fast. And that's exactly what happened. Sharp down here, and just immediately reversed this. This is kind of mind-boggling that we sold off that much and got it all back in a couple of days. It's almost, here's Friday to Wednesday. We've got it all back. And what's even more interesting, if you look at this, let's go to a 1-year chart, and let me put the ES up here and I'll show you. It's a little cleaner on the ES. This is what's crazy. So if you look at this, you see that big flush down in red right there? And I run quite a few projections and trying to get some ideas of where we might go, and this is where the projection came into the trend line here, and it wasn't exact, but it was pretty close. So you see the red candle down, and then immediate green candle straight up. So flush out here, immediately got it all back in one day. It's exactly what happened here. Look, see that red candle? Flush down, next day rip higher. What happened here? Flush down, rip higher. What happened here? Flush down, rip higher. See the green? Flush down, rip higher. Flush down, rip higher. So it's been the pattern lately, and what most of us are used to is something like this, where once you start a trend, maybe you get a head fake, but then the trend kind of continues to give you something like that, and then you start working your way back up. But not in this market. This market is a instant chop off your head and instant put it back on. And that's what makes it so tough, is these vertical turns in this market. you got to be on the right side, or you just get your head ripped off, and it makes it very, very, very tough. So, and there you can see those. Here are the trend lines that I drew. You see that we got almost to the tick there. We're pretty close. Anyway, so what do we do now? Well, we've got a lot of earnings coming out this week. Really, next week is going to be the biggest week of earnings with all of the big tech. That's what's been driving all this market. This is the breadth of this market has been very tight, narrow. Basically, you've got 4 or 5 stocks that are pretty much driving the entire market, right? And they'll all report pretty much next week. I mean, we had Netflix this week, but yesterday, but we need to be aware of that. So as far as the ES and the NASDAQ, I just can't really short this thing. Not here, not ahead of all these big tech earnings, right? Now it's easy for me to say that because if you watch the premium video I did last week, the title of that video was Flat and Happy, and I'm still basically, well, I think I'm pretty much flat right now. I got flat right here and missed all this. We did in bias, we did scalp a little trade out last night and made a little money off that overnight, but I'm very, very, very light right now, so it's easy for me to say, don't short this market because I don't have a lot of exposure on right now. Maybe if I did have a lot of long exposure, I would be hedging more, but I don't. And I am going to continue to look higher. We've got a snow line up here, 43.71. Here's our all-time high. Again, if we look at this, on a 1 year, and this is the ES, this just looks like it wants to go higher. Now, that's what we know right now. There's that snow line I was looking at. Maybe we just go right through this new all-time high. There's 4,400. If you guys noticed, I believe, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, I believe it was Morgan Stanley came out yesterday and raised their price target on the S&P from 4,400 to 4,600, I believe. Anyway, so assuming that all things are good with earnings and guidance, going to be really critical on guidance that things are going to look better going forward, and that's a big coin toss. We probably keep working our way higher, but we probably do it in a more choppy fashion, so kind of get used to that if that's the case. Now if we come out next week and Tesla and Apple and Amazon come out guide lower, we've got higher embedded costs because of inflation and employment cost, all that kind of stuff, and they start guiding lower, yeah, we're going this way. So we are in a Fed sugar high rally right now with the Fed and all the stimulus money that we've had poured in the market and all that kind of stuff. So this is a tougher market to trade. If you're frustrated and all that kind of stuff, you're not alone. This is, a lot of this stuff is not making sense, but we're, again, the Fed keeps pushing this thing, and Powell keeps, talking it up every time he gets a microphone in front of him. So, the trend is still higher. Trend's not broken. We did have moving averages cross over here momentarily for 1 day to the downside, and then the next day, boom, they're right back up. So we're still in, bullish momentum here. So be very careful in trying to short this market. I will be adding on hedges, likely maybe Friday. I put something on ahead of, or Monday, ahead of the big earnings, but it won't be anything of major size. Not yet. It's easy to catch the ride when it's going down because you can short them all the way down, just like here. You short the bounces and you just keep it, just the gift that keeps on giving, right? But that has not. It was not really the case here. Kind of a little bit here, not here, not here. So that hasn't happened. This is a 1 year chart, so we're well overdue, for something more meaningful on the downside. But I'm not seeing it right now. So, trade light, trade, smart. It's much easier to have powder dry and be selective on opportunities, than to have a bunch of trades on and have a 100-point gap against you and have everything blowing up at the same time. So if you're going to have a trade zone, try to have, pick honey badgers that are on the upside, maybe short on the downside, or hedge on the downside. Outright short's a little dicey for me right now. I just can't make myself do it. But anyway, that's it. That's what I've got for tonight. We'll know a lot more as we get into the middle of next week, and I will be back next Wednesday, so we'll take a look and see where we go from there. So thanks for the time, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care.
Without Simpler Trading, I could not have financial independence.
This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me